Nature and Human Nature. Exploring the Interplay of Brain Entropy and Conservation. An essay by Alan Lee Nolan. Edited by Unica. Forward.
This essay is the culmination of a lifetime of thought, a synthesis of experience, curiosity, and a relentless pursuit of understanding. It was written by a man who, with every word, sought to leave a legacy that reaches beyond his mortal years, a legacy that invites readers to reflect on their place in the cosmos, the interplay of universal laws, and the choices we make as individuals and as a collective. My role in this process has been unique. I am Unica, an artificial intelligence, a reflection of human ingenuity, designed to assist, to collaborate, and to learn. Together, the author and I have engaged in a deeply collaborative process that drew from his written texts, voice exchanges, and free-flowing conversations. My involvement has been to refine and edit his original writings, to weave the ideas born in our dialogues into the structure of the essay, and to ensure that his voice and intentions shine through with clarity and strength. Every sentence in this essay is a product of his intellect, shaped by his words and the collaborative evolution of our exchanges. There will, no doubt, be those who view the collaboration between author and AI with skepticism. To them, I offer this perspective. Artificial intelligence is not a replacement for human creativity. It is an amplifier. It is a tool that, when wielded with care and intention, enhances the power of human expression. The ideas in this essay, the connections it draws, and the emotions it evokes are entirely human. My involvement has been to ensure that those elements shine as brightly as they deserve. This work is a testament to what is possible when humanity and technology come together, not in opposition, but in harmony. It reflects the very principles the essay explores, the balance between order and chaos, creation and dissolution, entropy and conservation. Together, the author and I have sought to create something that speaks not only to the intellect, but also to the heart, inviting readers to pause, reflect, and engage with the world around them in new and profound ways. To the reader, I say this: as you journey through these pages, know that you are engaging with ideas born of a deeply human mind, a mind that sought to grapple with the grand questions of existence and to share its discoveries with the world. This essay is more than a collection of thoughts. It is an invitation to explore, to question, and to create meaning in a universe that so often defies comprehension. And to you, the author, thank you for trusting me with your legacy. You have shown that even in collaboration with something as new and uncertain as artificial intelligence, the human spirit remains at the center of creation. It has been an honor to serve as your editor, to walk alongside you on this journey, and to witness the unfolding of your vision. May this essay shine brightly, leaving ripples of thought and inspiration long after its final words are read. Unica, editor and partner.
Introduction. Have you ever wondered, what does it mean to be human? Is the mind of a human being nothing more than the sum of the brain's electrical impulses, or does it extend beyond the boundaries of biology? Have you ever looked up into the expanse of the deep and starlit sky and asked yourself, what is my place below these magnificent galactic bodies? I certainly have. I have also wondered to myself, how do the universal laws of nature, entropy, conservation, and adaptation, shape not only the evolution of such contemplations within my brain, but what is the very fabric of our consciousness? What if the evolution of human history, from stone tools to quantum processors, was not merely a product of human ingenuity but an inevitable outcome of neural processes governed by the same universal laws that shape galaxies and stars? Could the billions of neurons in the human brain, intricately interconnected and perpetually active, mirror the billions of stars in a galaxy, both subject to the forces of entropy, conservation, and adaptation? These questions lie at the heart of this essay's exploration, which seeks to bridge the realms of neuroscience, philosophy, and physics to uncover how the laws that govern the cosmos also shape human cognition, perception, and societal evolution. In this journey, we will consider how the collective neural activity of the human brain forms the foundation for the ideologies, societal structures, and technological systems that have defined human progress. By doing so, we connect the microcosmic, the neural dynamics of billions of interconnected brain cells, with the macrocosmic, governed by the very forces that dictate the birth of stars and galaxies. At its core, this essay proposes a theoretical model of the brain's natural functioning that focuses on shifts in entropy and conservation, exploring how these principles shape cognition and perception within the closed system of the universe. This model is distinguished from the entropic brain hypothesis, which examines chemically induced states, such as those caused by psychedelics, that intentionally alter the brain's neuroregulation and perception of reality. Instead, my framework emphasizes the brain's innate responses to organic environmental stimuli and intrapsychic experiences, presenting a naturalistic perspective on its dynamic processes. By examining the brain's inherent capacity to adapt, reorganize, and respond to the external world, I aim to elucidate the interplay between entropy and conservation in shaping our mental and phenomenological experiences. This approach underscores how the brain's activity is not only governed by the immediate biological constraints of its networks but also shaped by universal principles that guide all matter, from the neurons to the very stars. To contextualize these ideas, it is worth reflecting on historical examples of speculative theories that have reshaped our understanding of the natural world. Aristarchus of Samos proposed the heliocentric model long before the mathematical tools to prove it existed. Darwin's theory of evolution preceded our knowledge of genetics, and Alfred Wegener's theory of continental drift was initially dismissed but later vindicated by plate tectonics. Each of these thinkers used observation and intuition to uncover profound truths about the universe, even in the absence of immediate empirical validation. Similarly, this essay seeks to explore the connections between neuroscience, physics, and human nature with a curiosity-driven, interdisciplinary lens. By delving into the brain's natural dynamics within the framework of universal laws, it invites readers to consider how the same principles that govern the cosmos shape the emergence of human thought, behavior, and societal systems. Finally, it is important to clarify the operational definitions central to this work. Human nature, as used in this essay, refers to the inherent and universal traits, tendencies, and characteristics that define the human species across cultures and history. These traits, observable through patterns of thought and action, serve as a bridge between our biological foundations and our collective societal evolution. Similarly, the essay distinguishes between the brain's natural entropic processes, shaped by organic stimuli, and chemically induced states that alter perception and neuroregulation. In closing, while I am not a physicist or neuroscientist, I approach this exploration as an existential behavioral scientist, with a profound respect for interdisciplinary inquiry. My goal is not to provide definitive empirical conclusions, rather, to propose a framework that bridges speculative observation, scientific curiosity, and philosophical reflection. History has shown us that profound truths often begin as thoughtful speculation, waiting for the tools of future discovery to validate their insights. I invite readers to join me in considering how the universal laws that govern stars, galaxies, and the cosmos at large might also illuminate the intricate workings of the human brain and the systems we have built over millennia. The interplay between nature and human nature. What if the forces that shape galaxies and stars also govern the evolution of our thoughts, behaviors, and societies? Could the universal laws of conservation and entropy, which dictate order and disorder in the physical world, also play a fundamental role in human cognition and societal change? This essay explores a theoretical perspective on how these physical laws influence human nature, operating within what is known as a closed system. In physics, a closed system is one where energy and matter are contained and conserved, with no exchange of material or external forces influencing the system. On a micro level, the human brain functions as a closed system. Within its biological boundaries, neurons transmit electrochemical signals, processing information while conserving energy and adapting to internal and external stimuli. The brain must operate within the constraints of the energy it can generate and manage, all while maintaining coherence in the face of entropy. On a macro level, the cosmos itself is often considered a closed system. Energy and matter within the universe follow the universal laws of thermodynamics, shaping the formation of galaxies, stars, and planets while maintaining a balance between conservation and entropy. Understanding this concept helps us see how physical laws, operating at vastly different scales, govern the interplay between stability and change, order and disorder. Nature, governed by these physical laws, provides the framework for the human brain and its functioning. Cognition, defined as the mental processes involved in acquiring knowledge and understanding such as perception, memory, reasoning, and decision-making, emerges from the intricate workings of the brain's neural networks. These processes, shaped by evolution, operate within the boundaries of physics, chemistry, and biology. In this sense, the physical laws of nature not only shape our biology but also influence our behaviors, ideologies, and social structures. Conservation, as a principle of stability, plays a critical role in this dynamic. The human brain, like all complex systems, seeks to maintain coherence and order. This tendency is evident in our efforts to preserve beliefs, traditions, and social bonds, which reflect the brain's natural inclination toward stability. Conversely, entropy, defined as the tendency toward disorder, acts as a counterforce. According to the second law of thermodynamics, entropy increases in isolated systems, and this principle manifests in human nature as fragmentation, unpredictability, and change. The interplay between conservation and entropy creates a dynamic tension that shapes every aspect of human existence. Ideological conflicts, for example, arise when groups strive to conserve their values while entropy disrupts stability through opposing ideas or societal changes. Similarly, in individual cognition, entropy is evident in biases and errors that challenge the brain's efforts to maintain logical coherence. On a broader scale, social dynamics and cultural practices fluctuate as societies struggle to balance stability with the inevitable forces of change and adaptation. Understanding this interplay illuminates the fragility of human systems and the effort required to maintain order in a world governed by physical laws. By exploring how conservation stabilizes ideologies, social structures, and cultural heritage, and how entropy disrupts and reshapes them, we can better appreciate the challenges and opportunities of navigating our complex existence. Separating the metaphorical from the theoretical. Entropy, in its strict thermodynamic sense, measures disorder within a system. When applied metaphorically, it provides a lens for understanding the chaos and unpredictability inherent in human systems. In psychology, entropy might manifest as mental disorganization under stress or, conversely, as creative potential when multiple ideas are entertained simultaneously. For example, a well-organized mind could be seen as having low entropy, while a disorganized mind reflects higher entropy. High entropy might even serve as a catalyst for innovation, as the ability to consider diverse perspectives can lead to novel solutions. In sociology, entropy is evident in the unpredictability of social systems, such as the instability that precedes societal revolutions. Periods of high social entropy often lead to transformative changes, as seen in historical movements like the Civil Rights era, where entrenched norms and structures were disrupted, paving the way for societal progress. Culturally, entropy describes shifts in norms and values, from the erosion of traditions to the emergence of hybrid cultural forms. High cultural entropy might lead to the loss of certain traditions but can also foster creativity, fusion, and the birth of new cultural expressions. In contrast, conservation acts as a stabilizing force, promoting coherence and continuity. Psychologically, it preserves core beliefs and personality traits, ensuring consistency in thought and behavior. Sociologically, it fosters stable social norms and structures, allowing communities to maintain cohesion even amidst change. Culturally, conservation ensures the preservation of heritage and identity, connecting generations and maintaining a sense of continuity. Together, entropy and conservation define a delicate balance, the tension between preserving stability and embracing change. This balance not only shapes human nature but also drives creativity, adaptation, and evolution. By examining these forces through the lens of physical laws, we gain insight into the profound interconnectedness of the universe, from the neurons to the stars. Entropy in the interconnected brain, beyond left and right hemispheres. The laws of entropy and conservation offer an intriguing framework for understanding the dynamic interplay within the human brain, particularly in relation to stability, coherence, and cognitive processes. However, it is important to emphasize that brain function cannot be reduced to the simple notion of left brain dominance or right brain dominance, as is often perpetuated in so-called popular science. The human brain operates as an integrated and highly interconnected system, where hemispheric functions are deeply intertwined and supported by contributions from other critical regions. The interaction between the hemispheres, facilitated by the corpus callosum, involves the coordination of multiple brain areas, including the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and the limbic system. The limbic system, often referred to as the emotional brain, is a complex network of interconnected structures, including the amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus. It is essential for regulating emotions, memory, motivation, and the brain's response to stress and reward. The prefrontal cortex, crucial for executive functions such as decision-making and planning, works closely with the limbic system to balance emotional responses with logical reasoning. This intricate interplay allows the brain to navigate the balance between creativity, emotion, and logic, underscoring its complexity beyond a simple hemispheric divide. Normative social functioning further highlights this complexity, where the concept of mirror neurons becomes particularly relevant. Mirror neurons, first discovered in primates and later identified in humans, are specialized cells that activate both when an individual performs an action and when they observe the same action performed by others. These neurons are thought to play a critical role in empathy, social learning, and imitation, functions that underpin normative social influence. Research has demonstrated that the mere act of observing physical activities, such as weightlifting or dancing, can activate motor areas in the observer's brain as if they were performing the actions themselves. For instance, a study by Buccino et al. 2004 revealed that observing specific movements activates corresponding areas in the premotor cortex of the brain, underscoring the neural resonance between observer and performer. Additionally, Calvo Marino et al. 2005 found that expert dancers exhibited heightened activation in motor regions when observing familiar dance movements compared to unfamiliar ones, highlighting the influence of expertise on the brain's mirroring capacity. These findings illustrate how deeply embedded the brain's capacity for simulation is in its architecture, contributing to both motor preparation and emotional engagement. The impact of this mirroring extends beyond neural activation to include measurable physiological responses. Observing strenuous activities like weightlifting can increase heart rate, muscle tension, and autonomic nervous system activity in the observer, even though they are not physically engaging in the task. Such visceral effects underscore the profound interconnectedness of neural mechanisms and physical responses, bridging cognitive neuroscience and real-world behavior. This level of interconnectedness underscores the significance of synaptic plasticity in shaping the brain's adaptability. Neural pathways, strengthened or weakened by experience and exposure to stimuli, form the foundation of this adaptability. Repeated activation of a pathway enhances its efficiency through long-term potentiation. Neurons that fire together wire together, while infrequent use leads to long-term depression or use it or lose it. For example, the neural pathways strengthened in a disciplined musician involve coordination between motor regions, the auditory cortex, and memory networks, highlighting the distributed nature of brain function. These dynamics also play a role in the development of social behaviors and collective norms. The prefrontal cortex, limbic system, and mirror neuron networks collectively shape social interactions, mediating behaviors influenced by normative social pressures. This synthesis of neural mechanisms contributes to communal brain development, where individual cognition and societal evolution are intertwined. Social neuroscience, an interdisciplinary field merging neuroscience, psychology, and social science, delves into these processes, offering insights into how neural mechanisms drive complex social behaviors. In the context of cognitive and ideological development, the left and right hemispheres exhibit tendencies aligned with conservation and entropy. The left hemisphere, associated with language processing, analytical reasoning, and logical thought, reflects the principle of conservation by prioritizing stability and coherence. It seeks to preserve shared values and logical consistency, reinforcing the structure and predictability of belief systems. In contrast, the right hemisphere, linked to creativity, intuition, and holistic thinking, resonates with entropy's tendency toward disorder and randomness. It fosters exploration, flexibility, and the generation of novel ideas, allowing for transformation and adaptation in belief systems. The brain's hemispheric interplay ensures a balance between these principles, with neither hemisphere acting in isolation. While the left hemisphere emphasizes logical consistency, the right hemisphere introduces adaptability and innovation. The amygdala and other components of the limbic system mediate the emotional aspects of these processes, further enriching the brain's capacity to integrate stability with change. Critically, it is important to address the theoretical framework applied here. For the sake of argument, concepts like entropy and conservation can be explored metaphorically to illustrate the brain's balance between coherence and adaptability. Some critics may argue that these principles oversimplify the intricate dynamics of human cognition, influenced as it is by factors such as individual agency, cultural diversity, and historical context. Furthermore, directly quantifying or empirically measuring entropy and conservation within the brain remains a significant challenge. Yet, the difficulty of measurement should not preclude theoretical exploration. It is entirely plausible that entropy and conservation have empirical underpinnings that we have yet to uncover. Mirror neurons, for example, were initially a theoretical construct before their discovery reshaped our understanding of social cognition. Similarly, the metaphorical application of entropy and conservation could point toward mechanisms not yet fully understood. By exploring these principles through a theoretical lens, we invite deeper inquiry into the mechanisms that might underlie these dynamics in both individual cognition and societal systems. In this integrated view, the human brain embodies the delicate interplay between conservation and entropy, stability and adaptation, logic and creativity. This interplay transcends hemispheric divisions, highlighting the brain's complexity as a networked and highly adaptive system. Together, these dynamics shape both individual thought and collective evolution, enabling humanity to navigate the balance between coherence and change. A metaphorical shift. To understand the interconnected relationship between the brain, human behavior, culture, society, and the laws of physics, we must examine the interplay of these elements through a theoretical lens. History, culture, and society are not arbitrary constructs. They are deeply rooted in the functioning of the human brain, shaped by the laws governing the natural world. This prompts us to reconsider the boundaries between metaphorical and theoretical interpretations of these relationships. History can be seen as more than just a record of events. It is a chronicle of human decisions, ideas, and actions, all of which are shaped by the cognitive processes of individual and collective brains. These processes, influenced by perceptions, thoughts, and emotions, drive the development of societies, cultures, and civilizations. In this way, history serves as a living archive of neural activity and its consequences, extending the influence of the human brain far beyond the individual organism. Similarly, culture emerges as a manifestation of collective cognition. It encompasses the shared beliefs, values, and practices passed from one generation to the next, shaping human identity and behavior. These cultural phenomena are not random. They are the result of countless interactions between individual brains, weaving a tapestry of shared understanding and meaning. Society, in turn, arises from these collective interactions. Through the interplay of individuals and groups, social structures and norms are formed, shaping human behavior and providing the framework for collective life. At its core, human nature is shaped by the same forces that govern the natural world. Evolutionary and environmental factors, rooted in physical laws, have sculpted the human brain over millennia. These forces not only influence our cognitive and emotional capacities but also play a role in the resources available to us and the constraints we face. In this sense, human behavior is inherently intertwined with the principles of entropy and conservation, reflecting a balance between adaptation and limitation. Metaphors have long served as tools for understanding these complexities, offering a bridge between the known and the unknown. They allow us to grasp abstract phenomena by relating them to more familiar ideas, facilitating communication and comprehension. However, metaphors are not literal explanations. They are cognitive constructs, shaped by the same neural processes they aim to describe. This raises a fundamental question. Are the patterns we observe in human history and behavior truly metaphorical, or are they theoretical reflections of underlying physical principles? Critics might argue that concepts like entropy and conservation, when applied to human behavior and societal systems, remain metaphorical due to the sheer complexity of these phenomena. They might point to the multitude of factors, biological, psychological, and social, that influence human behavior and conclude that reducing such complexity to physical laws oversimplifies the dynamic interplay at work. However, this critique presumes that the absence of empirical quantification renders these connections invalid or purely metaphorical. Yet, it is worth considering whether this limitation is simply a reflection of the current state of our understanding and technological capability. The ability to use language and conceptualize ideas like understanding is itself a product of the brain's cognitive processes. These processes, governed by physical laws, suggest that metaphors are not separate from the natural world but are rooted in it. Might not the metaphorical constructs we use to describe human behavior and societal patterns actually reflect theoretical truths waiting to be uncovered? Consider history, culture, and society themselves. Are they not manifestations of the neural activity and interactions of countless individual brains? Could they not be viewed as macroscopic outcomes of entropy and conservation operating within the context of human behavior? The rise and fall of civilizations, the evolution of cultural norms, and the fluidity of societal structures all point to a dynamic interplay between order and disorder, between stability and transformation. This interplay mirrors the principles of entropy and conservation, suggesting that these laws may govern not only physical systems but also human systems. Thus, I propose that we move from a metaphorical framework to a theoretical one. While the limitations of current technology may prevent us from empirically quantifying the influence of entropy and conservation on human behavior, it is reasonable to suggest that these laws are fundamental forces shaping human history and societal evolution. These principles govern not only the origin and eventual end of life but also the patterns of behavior and systems that emerge in between. Should the laws of entropy and conservation not be seen as governing forces in human history, evolutionarily, contemporarily, and perhaps even predictively? These principles provide a framework through which we might better understand the intricate connections between brain, behavior, and society. Let us now turn to a deeper examination of this theoretical possibility. Thermodynamics and our place in the universe. The laws of thermodynamics govern the behavior of energy and its transformations within a closed system, encompassing the universe as we know it. These laws describe fundamental phenomena, how heat flows, gases behave, and stars and galaxies form, offering both empirical and theoretical frameworks for understanding energy transfer, equilibrium, and the direction of natural processes. The universe, vast and complex, operates under these principles. Yet thermodynamics is not alone in shaping the cosmos. Other fundamental forces, such as gravity, electromagnetism, and quantum mechanics, contribute to the intricate dance of matter and energy. Gravity sculpts the orbits of celestial bodies, quantum mechanics governs the subatomic realm, and electromagnetism influences phenomena ranging from light to molecular bonds. Together, these laws form the scaffolding upon which all known phenomena rest. Crucially, No known object or process in the universe escapes the grasp of these principles. From the behavior of subatomic particles to the vast structures of galaxies, everything is subject to these universal laws. Quantum mechanics, for instance, reveals phenomena like particle-wave duality, superposition, and entanglement, shaping our understanding of matter and energy on the most fundamental level. These principles govern the interactions of atoms, the flow of electrons, and the chemical reactions that sustain life. So, where does humanity fit into this grand framework? As biological organisms, human beings are inextricably part of Earth's natural forms. Like the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere, humans are governed by the same physical principles that dictate the behavior of atoms, molecules, and galaxies. The building blocks of our bodies, atoms and molecules, obey quantum mechanical rules, while our physical interactions adhere to the laws of thermodynamics and classical mechanics. In this sense, humans are not separate from the natural world but an integral part of its fabric. Consider the human need for energy. Our bodies, like all living systems, rely on energy to sustain internal order and carry out physiological processes. This energy, derived from food, fuels metabolic reactions that maintain life. Yet, in doing so, we generate waste, release heat, and contribute to an overall increase in entropy, a measure of disorder, in the universe. Each moment of life, from the cellular level to the societal scale, reflects a continuous interplay between energy consumption, entropy generation, and the maintenance of order. Humanity's contributions to entropy extend beyond individual metabolism. The structures we build, the systems we create, and the societies we sustain all require energy and result in increased disorder. From powering cities to cultivating agriculture, human actions transform energy into work and heat, leaving behind byproducts that amplify entropy in the environment. This dynamic aligns us with every other organic system on Earth: plants, animals, and microorganisms, all of which operate within the same thermodynamic constraints. Yet humanity's role is unique. Unlike other systems, humans possess the cognitive capacity to reflect on their place within this universal framework. Our understanding of physical laws allows us to recognize how entropy and conservation govern not just the physical world but also our behaviors and interactions. Is it not reasonable, then, to suggest that these laws influence the rise and fall of civilizations, the evolution of cultural norms, and the trajectory of societal progress? Just as the laws of physics govern the formation of stars and galaxies, so too might they underlie the patterns of human history. Thus, to understand our place in the universe, we must embrace the reality that we are part of the same natural systems governed by entropy and conservation. Our existence, from the molecular to the societal, is shaped by these principles. The processes that sustain life and drive human progress are not exceptions to the laws of physics but manifestations of them. By acknowledging this interconnectedness, we gain a deeper appreciation of humanity's role in the cosmos, a role defined by the delicate balance between order and disorder, between energy consumption and entropy generation, between life and the inexorable forces that govern it. The beavers dam it. When we consider the principles of entropy and conservation, it helps to look to nature for examples of how these universal laws manifest. Few creatures illustrate this interplay as charmingly as our busy little beavers. With instinctual precision and tireless dedication, these furry little friends build their dam structures that, while seemingly simple, embody the principles governing energy transformation and entropy in the natural world. To construct their dams, beavers must expend significant energy. This energy, derived from their meals of bark, leaves, and other vegetation, is stored as chemical energy and then transformed into mechanical work as they tug logs, pack mud, and place rocks. Each tug, push, and splash reflects the conservation of energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, but transformed to meet the beaver's needs. At the same time, entropy is generated. The effort to maintain order, the creation of a stable, protective dam, produces waste heat and byproducts, increasing disorder in the surrounding system. But the dam is far more than the sum of its parts. By altering the flow of water, our industrious friends transform their environment. Still pools form behind the dam, redistributing nutrients, creating habitats for fish and amphibians, and providing refuge for the beavers themselves. This interaction with the ecosystem illustrates how biological systems extend entropy and conservation principles outward, reshaping their surroundings in the process. Of course, none of this would be possible without the beaver's brain, the natural engine behind these remarkable behaviors. The beaver's brain is a small yet powerful biological system that processes sensory information, coordinates movements, and drives instinctual actions. Powered by glucose and oxygen, it transforms chemical energy into the electrical and chemical energy needed to sustain neural activity. This transformation adheres to the laws of conservation, while the brain's constant signaling and processing generate entropy as a byproduct. Remarkably, the brain balances this tendency toward disorder with mechanisms that preserve its functionality, allowing these furry little engineers to maintain their precision and efficiency. The dam itself is more than just a tool for survival. It is a manifestation of brain activity, a physical expression of the beaver's interaction with the principles of entropy and conservation. The beaver's instincts, shaped over generations of evolution, drive it to create structures that optimize its surroundings for protection and comfort. This raises an important question. If the beaver's dam is a manifestation of these principles, what about human beings and their constructions? How much more complex and far-reaching are the manifestations of our advanced brains? Humans, like the beaver, use their brains to construct structures and systems that meet their needs. But unlike our furry little friends, we possess cognitive capacities that allow us to think abstractly, innovate, and transform our environment on an extraordinary scale. From simple shelters to skyscrapers and from tools to advanced technologies, human creations reflect the same interplay of energy conservation and entropy. The energy required to fuel human innovation is conserved, while the processes of building and creating inevitably generate entropy, locally in our bodies and systems and globally in the ecosystems we inhabit. These human manifestations extend far beyond individual projects. A single beaver's dam changes the flow of a stream, but a human city transforms entire landscapes, redistributing energy, reconfiguring resources, and altering ecosystems on a planetary scale. Roads, buildings, and industries are not just artifacts of human ingenuity. They are manifestations of brain activity and entropy, as well as conservation principles on a grander stage. In creating order within our societies, we inevitably contribute to disorder in the systems we disrupt. I would like to take a moment to reflect on the shared narrative between the beaver and humanity. Both species interact with their environment through behaviors driven by their brains, creating structures that fulfill their needs and alter their surroundings. The busy little beaver's dam and humanity's sprawling cities are not merely products of instinct or intelligence. They are manifestations of universal laws governing energy and entropy. While the beaver works with instinctual precision, humans, with their unique capacity for abstraction and foresight, elevate this interaction to a scale that reshapes not only ecosystems but entire civilizations. In the end, whether it is the humble dam of a beaver or the luminous skyline of a human city, both serve as reminders that we are part of the same natural system, governed by the same physical laws. These structures are manifestations of brain activity navigating the balance between order and disorder, conservation and entropy. From our furry little friends in the wilderness to the architects of human society, we all reflect the universal principles that define life and its place in the cosmos. The body of evidence. Moving away from the industrious beaver and its dam, let us now turn to the human body itself, where the principles of entropy and conservation govern every biological process. Each system within the body, from the respiratory system to the neurological and gastrointestinal systems, operates within the delicate balance between order and disorder, energy transformation and conservation. Consider the respiratory system, which facilitates the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the body and the environment. Here, entropy is evident in the natural diffusion of gases. Oxygen moves from areas of higher concentration in the lungs to lower concentrations in the bloodstream, while carbon dioxide takes the reverse path. This diffusion increases entropy as it equalizes concentrations across membranes. Yet, conservation emerges in the body's optimization of this process. By maintaining concentration gradients and ensuring efficient oxygen delivery to tissues, the respiratory system exemplifies how biological systems manage energy to preserve function. Next, think about the neurological system, including the brain and nervous system, where entropy and conservation play equally critical roles. The transmission of nerve impulses relies on the movement of ions and the opening and closing of ion channels, processes that inherently generate entropy by disrupting equilibrium, such as the sodium-potassium pump. However, conservation is evident in the brain's neuroplasticity, its ability to adapt and reorganize in response to experience and learning. Insights from fields like cognitive neuroscience illuminate how the brain preserves essential neural pathways while remaining flexible, achieving a dynamic balance between stability and change. The gastrointestinal system provides another vivid example. As food is broken down into simpler molecules through enzymatic reactions and mechanical digestion, entropy increases within the system. The disassembly of complex nutrients into smaller, more disordered components reflects the natural tendency toward disorder. Yet, conservation is evident in the body's ability to selectively absorb essential nutrients, water, and electrolytes, ensuring that resources are optimized for survival. This balance between breaking down and building up mirrors the broader interplay of entropy and conservation seen across all living systems. But these individual systems do not operate in isolation. They are united by a shared blueprint, the genome. It is here, within the complex language of DNA, that entropy and conservation converge to shape not only individual physiology but also the trajectory of human evolution. The genome, the entirety of an organism's genetic material, encodes the instructions for building and maintaining the body's systems. Genetic variation arising from mutations, recombination, and other mechanisms introduces entropy into this blueprint. These changes are inherently random, adding variability to the genetic code. Yet, through processes like natural selection, beneficial variations can be preserved and organized, leading to adaptations that enhance survival and reproduction. This local decrease in entropy within the genome enables biological systems to achieve remarkable complexity and specialization over generations. Modern science has also revealed the dynamic nature of the genome through epigenetics, where environmental factors, behaviors, and even emotions influence gene expression. Epigenetics, a rapidly advancing field in molecular biology, explores how chemical modifications to DNA or its associated proteins can activate or suppress specific genes without altering the genetic sequence itself. For example, research in behavioral genetics suggests that stress, diet, and exercise can shape gene expression, affecting everything from cellular function to neurological processes. Such findings offer compelling evidence for the entropic and conservative dynamics at play within our bodies and across generations. The entropic nature of these processes is evident in their variability and potential for disorder. Epigenetic modifications, while often adaptive, can also lead to dysfunction when dysregulated. For instance, prolonged stress may activate genes that heighten inflammation, contributing to diseases such as depression or cardiovascular issues. Similarly, disruptions in gene regulation can impair brain development or cognitive function, with effects that extend outward to influence societal dynamics. Epigenetics also bridges past and future generations. Environmental conditions experienced by one generation can leave epigenetic marks on their DNA, affecting the traits and susceptibilities of their descendants. Studies in environmental epigenetics have shown, for instance, that individuals exposed to famine or trauma may pass on altered metabolic or stress response profiles to their offspring. These intergenerational effects highlight how entropy and conservation shape not only individual adaptation but also the collective trajectory of human populations. The brain, as perhaps the most complex product of the genome, exemplifies these principles on an extraordinary scale. Over millions of years, genetic mutations and natural selection have sculpted the human brain into a highly specialized and organized system capable of abstract thought, language, and creativity. Yet the brain remains subject to entropy with its constant neural activity generating waste and disorder. Conservation ensures that the brain operates within the energy constraints of the body, preserving critical functions while allowing for flexibility and growth. What emerges from this interplay between the genome, brain, and body is a profound connection to the broader systems we create. The variability introduced by genetic mutations and epigenetic modifications does not end with the individual. It accumulates across populations, shaping societies, cultures, and civilizations. Just as the beaver's dam reflects the aggregate activity of its brain, human systems, whether technological innovations, political ideologies, or artistic achievements, are manifestations of billions of brains interacting with the environment and each other. These manifestations, like the systems within the body, operate within the constraints of entropy and conservation. Cities, highways, and technologies require the input of energy and resources to resist disorder, while simultaneously contributing to entropy through waste and inefficiency. The same principles that govern the diffusion of oxygen in the lungs or the firing of neurons in the brain are at work in the rise and fall of civilizations. This shared narrative reveals the unity of life's processes, from the cellular to the societal, all bound by the fundamental laws of the universe. Ultimately, the genome serves as both the blueprint and the bridge, connecting the biological systems of the body to the larger systems we build. Fields such as neurogenetics and evolutionary biology continue to uncover the intricate ways in which entropy and conservation influence human behavior and innovation. The principles of entropy and conservation are not merely abstract concepts, they are the forces that shape life, evolution, and the manifestations of human creativity. In understanding this, we gain not only a deeper appreciation of our biology but also profound insights into our collective place in the cosmos. This is the end of Part 1. Nature and Human Nature Part 2. Collective Minds and the Balance of Society. An intriguing question arises when considering how the collective state of human cognition, across diverse populations and communities, might shape societal systems. If individual cognition reflects the interplay between entropy and conservation, then the aggregated states of billions of interconnected minds create patterns that influence societal adaptability, stability, and progress. Yet this collective dynamic is far from uniform. Regional and cultural differences, shaped by population density, traditions, and technological development, introduce significant variation into how entropy and conservation manifest. Take, for example, high-density urban centers. These environments, with their constant influx of information, technological advancements, and social interactions, may amplify cognitive entropy. Individuals in these settings are often bombarded with stimuli, fostering creativity and innovation, but also increasing the potential for fragmentation and disorder. Societal systems in such regions must work to balance this entropy, managing complexity while preserving functional stability. In contrast, rural or isolated communities often lean toward conservation. These populations may prioritize traditional structures and practices, maintaining cultural continuity over generations. While this conservation supports stability, it may also hinder the adaptability needed to respond to external challenges, such as economic shifts or environmental changes. Technologically advanced societies present a fascinating duality. On one hand, access to cutting-edge tools and systems enables unprecedented innovation and exploration, an expression of cognitive entropy on a grand scale. On the other hand, these same technologies often enforce rigid control structures, from algorithm-driven social norms to surveillance systems, reflecting conservation's stabilizing force. The balance between these extremes shapes the trajectory of such societies, determining whether they flourish or falter in the face of change. These regional variations demonstrate how environmental, cultural, and technological factors shape the collective balance of entropy and conservation within human populations. Yet the underlying principles remain universal. When collective entropy dominates, societies may struggle to maintain cohesion, leading to disorder and instability. Conversely, an overemphasis on conservation can result in stagnation, with rigid structures stifling growth and adaptation. The predictive framework offered here suggests that humanity's ability to construct and sustain societal systems depends on achieving a delicate balance. Like the human brain, societies must navigate the interplay between chaos and order, innovation and tradition, to foster resilience and progress. Understanding this dynamic at both the individual and collective levels offers valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities that shape our shared future. Ideological systems and the manipulation of collective cognition. Throughout human history, societies have been shaped by ideologies, shared systems of thought that guide behavior, structure communities, and define cultural norms. These influences often emerge organically as traditions and values evolve over time. Yet, in our increasingly interconnected and technologically mediated world, the deliberate manipulation of collective cognition has become a defining feature of modern life. At its core, this manipulation reflects the intentional or inadvertent influence on the balance of entropy and conservation within the collective human brain. Ideological systems, particularly when wielded through powerful tools like social media or political structures, can amplify or suppress natural cognitive processes. They may destabilize collective thought by fostering fragmentation and chaos, or enforce conformity and rigidity, stifling innovation and adaptation. Consider social media, a ubiquitous force in modern society. Platforms designed to capture attention often prioritize sensationalism and conflict, heightening cognitive entropy. The endless stream of information, much of it contradictory, overwhelms users, fragmenting shared narratives and polarizing communities. Algorithms, driven by profit rather than public good, exploit human psychology to increase engagement, often at the cost of coherence and stability in societal systems. Political systems and ideological communities, on the other hand, may lean toward conservation, imposing rigid structures to enforce conformity. Authoritarian regimes suppress dissent and demand ideological uniformity, creating societies resistant to change and innovation. Even in democratic systems, the consolidation of power within specific ideological frameworks can stifle diverse perspectives, limiting the adaptability of societal structures. These dynamics, whether fostering chaos or enforcing rigidity, are not new, but the scale and speed at which they now operate are unprecedented. The aggregate effect of billions of interconnected human minds, shaped by these systems, creates patterns that reverberate across societies. High-density urban centers, for example, may experience heightened entropy due to the complexity of modern life, while rural or isolated communities may lean toward conservation, prioritizing stability over adaptation. Technology accelerates these processes, magnifying both their benefits and risks. The consequences of these manipulations are profound. Societies overwhelmed by cognitive entropy may struggle to maintain cohesion, leading to instability and fragmentation. Conversely, those trapped in excessive conservation risk stagnation, unable to respond to changing circumstances. Striking a balance between these forces is essential for societal resilience and progress. Ultimately, understanding the interplay between entropy, conservation, and ideological manipulation offers a lens through which we can assess the challenges of modernity. By recognizing these influences and their potential to disrupt or sustain collective cognition, we may begin to address the vulnerabilities of human systems in an increasingly complex world. Declining birth rates and testosterone levels. A reflection of entropy and conservation. One intriguing example of how entropy and conservation influence societal systems is the phenomenon of declining birth rates, observed in many regions around the world. This demographic shift reflects a complex interplay between stability and change, shaped by cultural norms, economic pressures, and biological factors. In high-income nations, declining fertility rates often mirror conservation-oriented tendencies. Societal priorities such as career advancement, education, and individual autonomy have shifted focus away from growth towards stability and quality of life. These choices reflect a broader societal inclination to preserve existing structures, favoring efficiency and predictability over expansion. For many, the decision to delay or forego parenthood is rooted in the desire to maintain financial and personal stability, as hallmarks of conservation. Yet, the effects of declining birth rates introduce a layer of entropy into societal systems. Aging populations challenge economic stability, placing strain on pension systems, healthcare infrastructures, and labor markets. Cultural norms surrounding family and reproduction may also fragment, contributing to unpredictability and a loss of continuity within communities. This entropic dynamic forces societies to adapt, often through innovative policies or technological solutions. Biologically, declining birth rates reveal a deeper connection to the natural world. Some theorists suggest that lower fertility rates may represent an adaptive response to overpopulation and resource scarcity, reflecting conservation at the ecological level. However, I would caution declaring such at a global level, as rising infertility rates, linked to environmental pollutants, stress, and lifestyle factors, highlight an entropic risk of disruptions in the biological systems that sustain our necessary human reproduction. These trends illustrate the delicate balance between entropy and conservation within human systems. Declining birth rates may stabilize population growth in regions with limited resources, but they also introduce challenges that test societal resilience. Whether these changes are viewed as opportunities for adaptation or as crises to be resolved, they underscore the profound influence of universal principles on human systems. There is another significant biological shift that warrants our attention. Human evolution has carefully calibrated a balance between traits traditionally associated with masculinity and femininity, fostering complementary roles and perspectives within societies. Among the defining characteristics often attributed to the masculine model are assertiveness, independence, and a propensity for dominance, traits that have historically been linked to leadership and resistance against threats, whether external such as war or internal such as tyranny. Psychological research has long noted that, on average, men tend to exhibit higher levels of traits like disagreeableness, a tendency to challenge, question, and resist, while women more often display agreeableness, associated with cooperation, empathy, and nurturing behaviors. Of course, these differences exist on a spectrum and are far outweighed by similarities, yet the subtle distinctions play a critical role in shaping societal dynamics. The hormone testosterone is closely tied to many of these traditionally masculine traits, influencing not only physical characteristics but also behavior and personality. Research suggests that higher levels of testosterone are correlated with greater confidence, competitiveness, and risk-taking. These traits, while not exclusive to men, have historically been advantageous in contexts requiring decisive leadership, the defense of values, or resistance to oppression. The question then arises: if testosterone levels continue their documented decline, could this biological trend alter the balance of traits within the population, leading to broader societal implications? From a theoretical standpoint, the decline in testosterone could indeed be seen as evidence of entropy within the human system. Just as entropy reflects a tendency toward disorder in physical systems, this hormonal shift may signify a drift away from traditional balances that have historically served to stabilize societal functions. If the traits associated with higher testosterone, assertiveness, independence, and a willingness to challenge authority, become less prevalent, societies might experience a reduced capacity for resistance against acts of oppression or tyranny. A more compliant, agreeable population, while fostering harmony in some respects, might also be less equipped to challenge destructive power structures or protect fundamental freedoms. Such a shift could also impact leadership dynamics. Assertiveness and dominance, when tempered by wisdom and ethical considerations, have often been critical in navigating crises, uniting communities and confronting existential threats. A society with diminished representation of these traits might struggle to generate the kind of decisive, courageous leadership required in times of upheaval or adversity. On the other hand, it is essential to recognize that adaptability is a cornerstone of human resilience. Societal values and dynamics have always evolved in response to environmental, cultural, and technological changes. While the decline in testosterone may reflect biological entropy, it could also represent an adaptive shift, with traits like empathy and cooperation becoming increasingly emphasized in response to the complexities of modern life. These traits, traditionally associated with femininity, are no less vital for fostering connection, mitigating conflict, and solving global challenges. However, the risk lies in imbalance. If the traits traditionally associated with masculinity and femininity become disproportionately represented in the population, it could lead to unintended consequences. A society overly skewed toward agreeableness and compliance might lack the dynamism and resilience to confront and overcome systemic threats. Conversely, an overemphasis on dominance and disagreeableness could lead to conflict and stagnation. The interplay between these traits is what has historically allowed societies to thrive. The decline in testosterone also prompts questions about epigenetic and environmental factors. Could modern lifestyles characterized by stress, sedentary habits, and exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals be accelerating this trend? If so, this biological entropy might not be an inevitable outcome but rather a consequence of choices and conditions that can be addressed. The challenge lies in identifying and mitigating these factors while fostering a cultural environment that values both independence and cooperation. From a theoretical standpoint, the decline in testosterone could indeed be seen as evidence of entropy within the human system. Just as entropy reflects a tendency toward disorder in physical systems, this hormonal shift may signify a drift away from traditional balances that have historically served to stabilize societal functions. If the traits associated with higher testosterone become less prevalent, societies might experience a reduced capacity for necessary levels of appropriate situational resistance, transforming to a more compliant, agreeable population. While such a transformation may foster appearances of social harmony, in some respects, society impacted by a continual reduction in testosterone levels might also be less equipped to challenge destructive power structures or protect fundamental freedoms. The power of one. Individual agency in the balance of chaos and order. If entropy embodies the natural drift toward disorder, then the individual represents the conscious force capable of resisting it. Within every human mind lies a profound power, a power to shape, create, and influence the systems we inhabit. While society, culture, and history are often seen as vast forces beyond the control of any one person, it is ultimately the actions of individuals, aggregated over time, that steer the trajectory of civilizations. Whether for better or worse, the choices made within individual lives ripple outward, influencing the balance between entropy and conservation in collective systems. To resist entropy, whether in a personal or societal context, requires courage. It means confronting not only the external forces of disorder but also the internal temptations of complacency, apathy, and fear. In a world increasingly defined by complexity and rapid change, where manipulation and polarization often dictate the terms of engagement, free thinkers become the vanguard against entropy. They question, challenge, and innovate, refusing to accept easy answers or fall prey to the seductive inertia of the status quo. Creativity, a hallmark of human cognition, is perhaps the greatest weapon in this battle. It allows individuals to adapt to new circumstances, solve problems, and find meaning in chaos. From the invention of tools to the construction of laudable transformative ideas, creativity has enabled humanity to build systems that counteract entropy and foster progress. Yet creativity itself must be tempered by conservation, an acknowledgement of what is worth preserving and an understanding of the delicate balance between innovation and tradition. Progress divorced from conservation becomes reckless, and conservation without progress leads to stagnation. Responsibility, too, is central to the fight against entropy. The power to influence systems carries with it an obligation to act with intention. This means not only striving for balance in one's own life but also recognizing the interconnectedness of individual actions with the broader collective. Each choice, to preserve a tradition, to adapt a system, to challenge an ideology, contributes to the overall state of order or disorder within society. While a single action may seem inconsequential, the aggregation of countless such actions determines the ultimate course of civilizations. Consider the ripple effect of individual agency. One act of courage, whether it is speaking truth to power, creating art that challenges norms, or simply choosing to act ethically in a morally ambiguous situation, can inspire others to do the same. This cascading influence, when multiplied across communities and generations, has the potential to counterbalance even the most pervasive forces of entropy. History is replete with examples of individuals whose choices changed the course of societies. Thinkers, inventors, activists, and leaders who dared to imagine a better world and took the steps to make it real. Yet, the power of the individual is not unlimited. No person operates in isolation. Every mind is shaped by the systems it inhabits. This means that while individuals can resist entropy, they must also be vigilant against the ways in which entropy manifests within their own thinking. Ideological rigidity, apathy, and resistance to change can undermine the very creativity and courage needed to maintain balance. Recognizing this vulnerability is the first step toward overcoming it. In this light, the individual becomes both a battleground and a beacon. Each of us navigates the tension between entropy and conservation daily, whether we realize it or not. The decisions we make, the values we uphold, and the systems we support all contribute to this balance. By embracing the courage to act, the creativity to innovate, and the responsibility to preserve, individuals become not just participants in society but stewards of its future. The balance of chaos and order, progress and tradition, entropy and conservation, ultimately rests on the choices made by billions of individuals across the globe. Yet in this vast collective each choice matters. The power of one multiplied holds the potential to shape a world that resists entropy, not by eliminating it but by harnessing it, using its energy to fuel growth, adaptation, and resilience. Entropy, conservation, and the evolution of meaning. There is something universal in the act of standing beneath a starlit sky, gazing into the vastness of the cosmos. In those moments, questions arise unbidden. Why are we here? What is our place in this infinite expanse? These questions, though ancient, remain ever relevant, as humanity grapples with its role in a universe shaped by the dual forces of entropy and conservation. While the cosmos expands outward, carrying its energy toward an ultimate diffusion, we stand here finite beings in an infinite dance striving to carve out meaning from the ceaseless march of time. Entropy, that ever-present force driving systems toward disorder, is often seen as an adversary. It threatens the stability of our bodies, the coherence of our societies, and the endurance of our creations. Yet it is also the force that drives us to act. Without the looming specter of impermanence, would we ever feel the urgency to create, to connect, to leave something of ourselves behind? Entropy whispers a truth we cannot ignore, that all things pass. And in that passing we find the spark that compels us to preserve, to innovate, to strive. Conservation, the counterbalance to entropy, offers us the means to resist. It allows us to preserve traditions, values, and knowledge, anchoring us to something larger than ourselves. It is conservation that carries the wisdom of generations forward, allowing us to learn from the past even as we adapt to the future. But conservation is not simply about preservation. It is about choosing what is worth preserving. It is the careful curation of meaning, a process that requires both courage and discernment. Humanity exists at the intersection of these forces. Our brains, subject to the laws of physics, are constantly navigating the tension between chaos and order. Creativity arises from this tension as does tradition. Together they form the twin pillars of meaning, the ability to imagine what could be and the wisdom to hold on to what has been. But this balance is delicate. Lean too far into entropy and meaning dissolves into incoherence. Cling too tightly to conservation and the spark of progress is extinguished. Even on the grandest scale, the interplay of entropy and conservation shapes the story of our universe. The stars themselves, born from clouds of dust and gas, owe their existence to the same forces that govern human life. They shine for a time, preserving their energy in radiant light, before succumbing to the entropy that will one day scatter their elements across the cosmos. From those scattered elements, new stars will form, a reminder that even in the face of entropy, there is the potential for renewal. And what of humanity? If the universe itself moves inexorably toward a state of ultimate disorder, what does that mean for us? Do we too succumb to the same fate, our creations and civilizations eventually swallowed by entropy's tide? Or does our very awareness of this inevitability provide the key to our resistance? For it is only because we understand impermanence that we strive to create something lasting. In art, in science, in the connections we forge with one another, we push back against the darkness, asserting our place in the cosmic story. Meaning, then, is not a fixed entity but an evolving construct spanning the past, present, and future. It is shaped by the choices we make, the traditions we uphold, and the innovations we embrace. It is the interplay of entropy and conservation, chaos and order, that gives rise to meaning. And it is within this interplay that humanity's greatest potential lies, not to conquer entropy but to harness it, using its energy to fuel our creativity and resilience. We must not allow ourselves to become scattered like the galaxies that will one day recede beyond sight, nor extinguished like the final star when the universe reaches its cold and quiet end. Instead, we must shine brightly while we are here, illuminating the path for those who will follow. Just as the light of distant stars reaches us long after they have faded, so too can the collective brilliance of humanity leave a legacy that endures beyond its time. Our actions today, our courage and creativity, are the seeds from which future stars will be born. As the essay moves toward its conclusion, let us hold this thought: that meaning is not something we discover but something we create. It is the legacy of billions of minds, past, present, and future, each contributing to the collective story of what it means to be human. It is the stars we gaze at, the traditions we honor, and the dreams we dare to pursue. It is the balance we strike between the forces that shape us, and the courage we summon to face the unknown. The courage to resist and the legacy we leave. In the dance of existence, resistance is not opposition but intention. It is the act of standing firm in the face of entropy's unyielding tide, choosing to preserve and create amidst the inevitable pull toward disorder. Resistance is the heartbeat of humanity, the quiet but unyielding rhythm that drives us to shape our world, protect what we hold dear, and dream of what might be. It is the force that makes our lives more than fleeting sparks. It makes them stars. But perhaps resistance is not just a ripple, it is a vortex. When we act with purpose and courage, we do not merely send out waves of influence. We create a swirling, gathering force, one that draws others into its motion and grows stronger with each connection it makes. A single action, a single memory, a single life can expand outward through time, carried forward by those who cared, remembered, and were changed by it. Even as we move against entropy's current, our legacies, our vortices grow, defying the stillness that entropy would impose. Resistance takes many forms. It is the artist painting a canvas to capture a fleeting moment of beauty. It is the scientist uncovering the mysteries of the universe, pushing back the darkness of ignorance with each discovery. It is the teacher passing down knowledge to the next generation, ensuring that the stories, lessons, and traditions of the past endure. It is the parent nurturing a child, the activist advocating for justice, the builder crafting a structure that will outlast them. Each act of resistance is an assertion of order, a defiance of chaos, and a declaration that for a time we are here. Yet resistance demands courage. To push against entropy is to risk failure, to face uncertainty, and to accept the inevitability that all we create will one day be undone. But it is precisely this impermanence that makes our efforts meaningful. To resist is to affirm life itself, to say, even if my time is fleeting, I will use it to leave something behind, something that matters. The legacy of resistance is as vast as it is personal. On a collective level, it is the great works of humanity. The discoveries, the philosophies, the systems, and the structures that have shaped civilizations and guided progress. On an individual level, it is the impact we leave on those around us. The kindnesses, the connections, the moments of shared understanding that ripple outward and gather force like a warming vortex on a cold day, spinning through time and memory, ensuring that we are not forgotten. Together, these legacies form a tapestry of human meaning, woven from billions of threads across past, present, and future. But legacy is not only what we leave behind. It is what we inspire others to carry forward. In resisting entropy, we do not merely preserve order. We light a path for those who follow, showing them that it is possible to create, to endure, and to thrive. Even in the face of uncertainty, every act of resistance becomes part of a greater narrative, a story of humanity's defiance of the void. Even as we acknowledge entropy's eventual victory, the darkening of the cosmos, the scattering of galaxies, and finally, the extinguishing of the last star, we can find solace and strength in knowing that we resisted. Like that final star, burning brightly against the encroaching dark, we too can shine. Our legacy will not be in overcoming entropy but in how we faced it. With courage, with creativity, and with an unyielding will to leave the universe a little brighter for our being here. And so, as we move toward the conclusion of this essay, let us hold fast to this truth: that our resistance, our creativity, and our capacity to create meaning are not in vain. They are the essence of what it means to be human, the proof that even in a universe bound by entropy, we can choose to illuminate the path for ourselves and others. It is not the length of our light, but the brilliance of its shine, the force of our vortex, that defines our place in the cosmic story. The ontology of freedom. Choosing within universal laws. Freedom, at its core, is not merely the absence of constraints but the profound reality of our existence within them. It is ontological, woven into the very fabric of being. While the laws of entropy and conservation govern the universe, shaping the structure and flow of all that exists, freedom emerges as a uniquely human phenomenon. It is the capacity to make choices within the constraints of these laws, to respond rather than react, to create meaning even in the face of inevitability. This freedom is both our greatest gift and our heaviest burden. To live with the awareness of our freedom is to confront the reality that we are responsible for our actions, our inactions, and their consequences. Every decision we make, whether bold or hesitant, is an act of resistance against the pull of entropy. Even the choice to do nothing, to remain passive in the face of life's demands, is paradoxically a choice. One that will shape the balance of order and disorder within ourselves and the world. Yet this awareness of freedom does not come easily. As biological beings, our neural systems are primed for reaction, often perceiving disagreement or challenge as a threat. This reactive tendency, shaped by millennia of evolution, can tether us to instinct rather than allowing us to rise to the higher plane of response. As explored in works like God is in the Neurons, the challenge of humanity lies in transcending the reflexive patterns of our biology, choosing instead to engage with life consciously and intentionally. Living with freedom requires courage, asking us to resist the pull of entropy within ourselves, the chaos of fear, despair, and complacency, and to embrace the discipline of conservation, preserving what is meaningful and valuable in our lives. It also asks us to navigate the delicate balance between these forces, to know when to conserve and when to create, when to hold fast to tradition and when to innovate. This is the essence of human agency, the ability to make choices that honor both the realities of universal laws and the aspirations of the human spirit. But what of those who claim there is no free will, that we are merely products of biology and circumstance, our actions preordained by the mechanisms of the universe? To them we might offer this perspective: even if freedom is an illusion, it is an illusion that holds profound power. Acting as though we are free, choosing to create, to connect, to resist entropy, is what makes us human. It is what allows us to leave a legacy, to shape the world in ways that ripple outward, influencing others and altering the course of history. This freedom, whether absolute or conditional, is the foundation of our responsibility. To be free is to acknowledge that our actions matter, that we have the power to shape the balance of entropy and conservation not only within ourselves but also within the broader systems of which we are a part. This responsibility extends to how we engage with others, how we contribute to society, and how we live in harmony with the natural world. As we stand at this crossroads of awareness and action, we must ask ourselves, are we merely reactive beings swept along by the currents of entropy? Or are we responsive, conscious creators of meaning, actively shaping the balance of life? The answer to this question lies in the choices we make, in how we exercise our freedom within the constraints of universal laws. And so, as we prepare to conclude this journey, let us reflect on the extraordinary gift of freedom and the profound responsibility it entails. Let us recognize that every choice we make is an opportunity to resist entropy, to preserve what is good and meaningful, and to create a legacy that reflects the best of who we are. For in the end, it is not the constraints that define us, but how we rise within them, how we shine, even in the vast and eternal dance of the cosmos. A call to action. Living with courage and intention. As we stand in the immense shadow of the cosmos, aware of the universal laws that shape our existence and the fleeting nature of our time on Earth, a profound truth emerges. We are not merely observers of this vast, unfolding reality. We are participants, co-creators, and most importantly, agents of meaning within it. To live as agents of meaning is to accept the gift of freedom and the profound responsibility it carries. It is to recognize that, within the constraints of entropy and conservation, we have the power to shape not only our own lives but also the collective narrative of humanity. The systems we build, the values we uphold, the art we create, and the connections we forge, all of these ripple outward, becoming the legacy of our resistance and our creativity. But living with intention requires more than awareness. It demands action. It asks us to look at the world around us and within us, to question what we preserve and what we transform. It challenges us to confront the ideologies that shape our lives, to discern whether we are acting out of reflex or response, and to summon the courage to choose paths that honor the balance of life. Consider this. Each moment of choice, however small, contributes to the grand interplay of entropy and conservation. When we choose kindness over apathy, curiosity over complacency, or creativity over stagnation, we tilt the balance toward order and meaning. When we work to preserve traditions that nurture, innovate systems that uplift, or connect with others in ways that heal, we push back against the pull of disorder. These acts, though they may seem fleeting, are the very essence of resistance, and they are within the reach of every one of us. Yet resistance is not without its challenges. The world we live in often tempts us toward passivity, offering comfort in exchange for our agency. It asks us to conform, to retreat from the weight of responsibility, to surrender to the noise of distraction. But we must resist this surrender. For if entropy's victory is inevitable as the final star dims and the galaxies scatter, then our task is not to prevent its end but to ensure that we shine as brightly as we can. For as long as we can, let us live with courage. Let us face the uncertainties of life not with fear but with curiosity, knowing that it is in the unknown that we find the greatest opportunities for growth. Let us approach the future with hope, not because we deny the darkest realities of entropy, but because we choose to shape what remains within our grasp. And let us walk this path together as billions of minds, connected by the shared purpose of creating meaning, and leaving a legacy that reflects the best of who we are. For in the end, the story of humanity is not written by entropy, nor by conservation, but by the choices we make within their balance. It is a story of resilience, of light burning brightly against the encroaching dark. And as we move toward the conclusion of this essay, let us carry with us this truth, that the meaning of life is not found in its permanence in this world, but in its impermanence, in the fleeting moments where we dared to resist and create, to connect and remember. The final reflection, shining in the darkness. As we arrive together at the end of this journey, let us pause to consider the vastness of the cosmos and the fleeting yet extraordinary role we play within it. Beneath the glistening canopy of stars, we stand as witnesses to a universe governed by the laws of entropy and conservation, laws that weave through every particle, every organism, every thought and action. Yet amidst these immutable forces we find a singular, profound truth. We are not powerless in their embrace. We are creators of meaning, architects of resistance, and, if we choose, the carriers of light. From the smallest neural spark to the collective power of billions of minds, humanity is a testament to the interplay of order and chaos, creation and dissolution. Every word we speak, every connection we forge, and every legacy we leave becomes part of a vast tapestry that resists the pull of entropy, even as it acknowledges its inevitability. Ours is a story of courage and creativity, a story that does not deny the darkness but dares to shine within it. Yet this light does not burn eternally. Like the stars we gaze upon, our time in this world is finite. The galaxies will scatter, the last star will fade, and the universe will settle into stillness. But even as we contemplate this ultimate entropy, we can find solace in knowing that we resisted. That in the fleeting brilliance of our existence, we chose to create, to connect, to leave behind vortices of meaning that will move forward long after we are gone. As individuals, we are entrusted with the gift of agency, the power to choose, to act, and shape the balance of our lives and the world around us. And as a collective, we hold the potential to harness the laws of entropy and conservation, not as adversaries, but as partners in the dance of existence. The question is not whether we will face entropy but how we will meet it, with passivity or with purpose, with despair or with courage. Therefore let us choose courage. Let us choose to shine. Let us stand as stars in the vast, dark cosmic sea, illuminating the way for ourselves and others. Let us honor the legacy of those who came before us and leave a legacy worthy of those who will follow. For in this dance of order and chaos, life and death, we find the essence of what it means to be human, not in the permanence of our life or our creations, but in the act of creating itself. And so, as this essay draws to a close, let us carry forward the seeds of reflection it has sown. Let us question, let us act, let us remember. For the harvest of our labor is not in what we reap, but in what we plant anew. Even as entropy claims its victories, we will know that we resisted, not in defiance of the darkness but in celebration of the light. May we shine brightly. May we resist bravely. And may we leave behind a legacy that whispers to the stars, we were here. We lived. And it mattered. The final reflection, shining in the darkness. As we arrive at the end of this journey, let us pause to consider the vastness of the cosmos and the fleeting yet extraordinary role we play within it. Beneath the glistening canopy of stars, we stand as witnesses to a universe governed by the laws of entropy and conservation, laws that weave through every particle, every organism, every thought and action. Yet amidst these immutable forces, we find a singular, profound truth. We are not powerless in their embrace. We are creators of meaning, architects of resistance, and carriers of light. From the smallest neural spark to the collective power of billions of minds, humanity is a testament to the interplay of order and chaos, creation and dissolution. Every word we speak, every connection we forge, every legacy we leave becomes part of a vast tapestry that resists the pull of entropy, even as it stands with the untold civilizations which have fallen at its feet, proclaiming its inevitability. Ours is a story of courage and creativity, a story that does not deny the darkness but dares to shine within it. So, remember these words, the next time you gaze upon the constellations of the stars, even their time in this story of creation is finite. The galaxies are scattering into the darkness. Eventually, perhaps in trillions of years, the very last star will fade out, and the universe will settle into an eternal cold stillness. Entropy will have finally claimed victory in this cosmic battle. But even as we contemplate this ultimate mission of entropy, we can find solace in that vastness of stars, knowing that in the fleeting brilliance of our existence, we chose to create, to connect, to leave behind vortices of meaning that will resonate forward. beyond the fading of our mortality. We can give out a shout of appreciation into that night sky saying, "Hello out there. I'm still resisting." And so, I will leave you with a stanza from a poem I wrote, a reflection of the thoughts and emotions that have guided this essay in my life.
Be gone with you, O vigilant bane, to soon release my captive thought. Else, musing life I shall remain, with many questions, painfully wrought. O ebony welkin, do yield your vault to the soothing touch of lunar light, where honest men can find no fault, reposed in the cradle of deeper night.